The Thunder are a win away from the first ever title for Oklahoma City. I mean, this was a game that for a while, Tyler, I don't know if you'll disagree with me on this or not. This felt like a replay of game one. Oklahoma City jumps out, looks like the better team the entire first half. But then in that third quarter, Indiana starts to find themselves a little bit, starts to creep back into the game. Fourth quarter, oh my goodness, here we go. It's a 2-point game. It's 95-93. And then Oklahoma City wakes back up. Indiana turnover after turnover, some really bad passes in there from Nimhard. And Oklahoma City was able to take advantage and come back, get the big win at home in game 5. And now you can just go on the road and close it out. If you don't win game 6, you got game 7 back at home. You look at the splits, Indiana 23 turnovers. You can't do that. You just can't do that in a finals game. Oklahoma City shoots 44% from 3. At one point in time, it was a 48% at one point in the third quarter. Indiana only 36%. They won the 2-point battle. When you look at overall field goal percentage, Indiana wins the boards battle by 5. But Tyler, this is one that if you're Indiana, you're going to look back at it and go, man, I don't think this was a day where really anything was going right, and yet it was still a 2-point game in the fourth quarter. If you're Oklahoma City, you're going, man, this is a game where everybody stepped up in some way or the other. The only guy you could think of an offensive liability a little bit would be Chet and Caruso, and they made up for it with their defense.
Yeah, I mean, this was a classic Thunder performance in that sense, where everybody's contributing, and I'm sure we'll touch on it here further, but man, how about the J-Dub game? Jalen Williams, holy smokes. I mean, that was huge. You could see him kind of over the last few games really heating up in terms of, he's had some up and down performances this postseason, but it felt like the last couple outings, he'd start to really play with that confidence that we had seen throughout the season. And man, it was huge tonight. SGA did his thing, was great. Defensively, this team, you mentioned that stretch in the third quarter where it's like, oh boy, here comes Indiana, right? They found a way to hung around. Felt like the Thunder should have been up 20-25 at half. They weren't. They were only at 14. And here comes Indiana. But then the Thunder respond. And really, Cade, when I was watching that game, it was that close to the third quarter. Those last couple of minutes in the third quarter felt like Oklahoma City righted the ship a little bit, extend the lead out again a touch. And yeah, Indiana, still brings it back in the early stages of the fourth quarter, but it was just, some good shot making. TJ McConnell had his big day.
We'll get to that in a minute.
It just wound up being one of those deals where it felt like at the start of the fourth, Indiana closed it, to a close game, but it didn't feel like it was all kind of coming to a crash like it was in that third quarter for a minute. So I'm really proud of the way the guys kind of hung on, fought through that, and then closed out down the stretch of the fourth quarter with that defense.
Yeah, I mean, what I'm taking away from this, if I'm Oklahoma City, is everyone who needed to step up in a big way did. So let's start with the bench. Cason Wallace and Aaron Wiggins just absolutely had a stretch where they could not miss from 3. It was ridiculous. Wallace goes 3 for 4. Wiggins goes 4 for 7. 25 points off the bench there. Caruso had an off night, like we said, 1 for 8. But when you get 4 steals, you get a block in there as well. That helps make up for it a bit. And then Lou Dort, a guy that, gets 2 fouls early on in the game. 7 minutes in, it looked like, okay, it's going to be one of those games for OKC where you got to balance out his minutes. He comes back, gets hot, has that weird bank shot rainbow 3 that goes in. That was kind of the moment where I was like, okay, Indiana can come back all they want, but if that's falling, you're not winning this type of game. That's what it felt like when I saw that shot go in, where it's like, okay, it's just not your day, Indiana. The basketball gods have decided this is not happening. J-Dub, as you mentioned, 40-point game, his best performance of the playoffs, I would think by far. And for Indiana, I think the main takeaway from this for Indiana, obviously you have to win out now. That's the no-brainer. But you look at some of the performances they had. Halliburton's going to be the big one everyone looks at. I know he was hurt, but you cannot go 0 for 6. You cannot just 0 for 4 from 3. There were moments where he just looked like he could not do anything. Some of that's the injury in combination with the Thunder's defense. I get that. But you've got to find a way to get something going. How many times did he go to that little floater game he always has? I didn't see it once tonight. He just looked absolutely, I don't want to say lost out there, but he looked ineffective and useless. And so that goes back to TJ McConnell. He had that amazing stretch in the third quarter. We don't see TJ McConnell again until there's 2 minutes left in the game and the Thunder are up by 10. To me, that's inexcusable. And I know Rick Carlisle's a good coach. He's done this before. He's been in this position before. I would have liked to seen TJ McConnell get back out there a little bit earlier, especially when Siakam had momentum. He was going on a tear to start the fourth quarter. Get him out there. See if you can find something in that combination. But they never went to it, and Oklahoma City was able to pull away after that.
Yeah, and you know what really you mentioned Carlisle, and I want to get back to that decision with Halliburton because it's clear he's not 100%. He re-aggravated that injury, it looked like,
He
in
did.
the game. And it's one of those decisions when TJ McConnell's playing so well. It's not like TJ's some scrub guy. You know, he
Yeah.
put in a lot of great work throughout his career in various places. And I understand he may not be quite the scoring threat that, Halliburton is or the athlete per se. But if Halliburton's only 75%, I feel 100% TJ McConnell, especially what he showed you in that third quarter. I think you're riding with him the rest of the way, right?
That's what
Especially
I
when
felt.
Tyrese is hurt, you know that. You know you got more games ahead. Give Tyrese a break. Say, look, hey, if we don't win this, you still got two more games potentially. Like, try to make sure he's 100% because you knew, regardless of what happened, you were going to need him for Game 6, whether you won or lost. You need 100% or as close as you could get for Halliburton. So why not just sit him, give him that rest, and let TJ McConnell keep cooking? That one was definitely a head scratcher for me. I'm glad as a
Yeah,
Thunder
I'm
fan that
sure you're glad
you know.
about it, but it's one of those that the amount of Indiana people I saw on social media. I mean, you could check any platform. Just okay, when's TJ McConnell coming back in? Why is TJ
Yeah,
McConnell not back? What is going? It is a 2 point game. Please put the guy who's been playing extremely well off the bench back in. And that brings me back
sure.
to speaking of the bench for Indiana. I mean, Obi Toppin, he had his moments once again. He's been like that the entire series. He'll have his moments where you're just going, "What are you doing?" And then some moments where it's okay. This guy can't miss now. That happened again in
Yeah,
the third quarter where Toppin gets going, McConnell gets going, and then Siakam to start the fourth. It really did feel like okay, this is game one again. Here we go. But Oklahoma City again, to their credit, I want to talk about Nimhard and Matherin because my goodness, Matherin, this carries over, I think, from game four. You missed those 3 out of 4 free throws at the end of game four to try to keep it a game. And again, we were busy and, resetting here. If you're wondering why everything's looking different, this is where we've been the past few days trying to get stuff set up and, life gets in the way, but just
yeah,
the momentum that Oklahoma City got from game four, from that big comeback, that's a dual-edged sword of negativity for Indiana because not only does Oklahoma City now have that confidence again and steals back home court advantage, if you're Indiana, you have that little self-doubt that starts to creep in, especially for Benedict Mathurin, where you're a younger guy, this is your first finals, you had every opportunity to keep them in the game and you blew it. You just felt like you blew it. Everyone knows that you're going to get a lot of blame for that. And you come out and go 2 for 11 in this game. That's not going to help anything. Indiana's now down to that final stand at home in Tyler. I mean, when I was talking to you earlier today, I said I think Indiana loses today, but wins game 6, Thunder in 7. With how the Thunder responded, I think I'm going to stand my ground for my pick in the game 1 video. I think I'm going to say Thunder in 6.
well, I don't know, man. I've really come to respect what this Indiana team is. You could tell that on paper, Oklahoma City's got the better athletes, but
Yeah.
this Indiana team doesn't quit, man. It seems like it doesn't matter what
No,
happens,
it does
who's
not.
playing good, who's playing bad. They just find a way. So I respect that a lot from them. And if you're an Indiana fan, I'm sure you're frustrated because you feel like there's been a couple games now that you've let slip, right? I
Right.
mean, these two especially. You let OKC come back from 10 plus down on your court, and they steal that one in game four, similar to what you did in game one to OKC. And then tonight, you had your run. You were there, and you guys couldn't seal the deal. So I can understand that frustration. You're an Indianapolis fan, but man, like, oof, that is it's one of those sayings that when they look back in the history books, you don't talk about all that, right?
Exactly.
It's just who performed when it was time, and right now the Oklahoma City Thunder. they're getting it done. I mean, that's what it is. SGA and J Dub, man, Jalen are just doing their thing. And I love it. Like I can't ask for much more.
Yeah, I
Your
mean,
MVP is performing like an MVP, and J Dub is being that perfect combo piece with him.
yeah, I mean, it is. I mean, that's easy. I would think, I said it earlier. I would think you would agree. That's J Dub's best game. That's his best play. That is his
Absolutely,
defining game. I mean,
no question.
it is just crazy to see, I don't want to say the growth because you don't think about it from series to series like that. But really, I mean, let's go back to, even the Denver series where Oklahoma City got hit with that adversity. You can go back to Dallas last year. The growth you've seen in these guys outside of SGA from, J Dub, whether it be Chet at times, to have that moment or moments where they need to step up and they have. It's crazy to see. And what worries me is y'all are still super young, and I don't like that.
Yes, sir.
Y'all need to go away. We need someone to not we need someone to not be a juggernaut in the West for like 5 years, please. We
Nah,
just well,
not
yeah,
all.
you're gonna
You're
say
here.
well, I know you're gonna say no, but it's one of those that just if you're Indiana, I feel like the plan to win this title was always you had to win every game at home and that game 4, I mean, we could have talked about that one for a while because there were a lot of opinions about that. But just, I felt like that had to be the plan for Indiana. It didn't go their way. You expected the momentum to carry over for OKC. Indiana, once again, they don't quit. They made this a game. I'm not dogging this as saying Indiana's some terrible team. Please do not get that interpretation. But man, if you're Indiana, all that I don't know who do you think there's more pressure on? Is there more pressure on Indiana to keep this series going, or more pressure on OKC to close it out?
I would say it's on OKC to close it out because you're right there, you know. And with the way that Indiana's played in this series and throughout these playoffs, I'm not worried about them feeling pressure. You
Yeah,
know, if they would have worried about pressure, they would have fallen against Cleveland or I mean, like they've had so many opportunities
yeah,
and it just doesn't matter. So I think the pressure's on Oklahoma City because they've shown the tendency to be a little bit more affected by the moment than Indiana has.
yeah. And we'll see. OKC, they've had some struggles on the road in the playoffs at times. I
Exactly.
think they're what 5-4, 4-5, something crazy like that, around 500 on the road. So we'll see what happens in Game 6. But it should be fun, nevertheless, folks. As always, if you enjoyed this video, watching it here on YouTube, feel free to subscribe, hit the like button, hit the bell as well to always be notified when new videos come out. Leave us a comment down below. We got the new setup here. It will slowly look better over time. Right now, it's just a white wall, but that will be fixed in the future. If you're listening on Spotify, you have no idea what I'm talking about. But feel free to give us 5 stars over there. We'll see. We may or may not live stream Game 6. That depends on scheduling and working for a living and all those fun other things. But folks, until next time, have a good one, everybody.